Carbon Tanzania and TerraCarbon have a 10-year relationship now.
Yeah. It might be worth spending a moment reflecting on all that we've accomplished in the last 10 years, right? To get to this point.
Yeah.
Because there's been such an evolution in the market.
When we look back at the changes that have happened in the carbon market, in the carbon space, some of the methodologies, the myths, the realities, and we look at where we are now with the emergence of VM0048 and how that data is being built, with a sense of giving the market confidence through CCP labels that this is more accurate or more true. Morning from a cloudy Arusha in June. My name's Mark Baker. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer and founder at Carbon Tanzania. And I'm here with my colleague.
Hi, I'm Ben Rifkin. I'm a Senior Manager on the Forest Carbon team at TerraCarbon, based in the United States.
And Carbon Tanzania and TerraCarbon have a 10-year relationship now.
Yeah, this year.
From this year, from the very beginning of working on the Makame VM7 Red project and Takata, and we've continued to work with each other on the verification, the annual verifications of that project over the last 10 years. And it's interesting, I think, at this 10-year point, when we look back at the changes that have happened in the carbon market, in the carbon space, in our forest carbon space, in terms of some of the methodologies, the myths, the realities, and we look at where we are now with the emergence of VM0048 and how that data is being built, with a sense of giving the market confidence through CCP labels that this is more accurate or more true. And yeah, I think this is a great opportunity to dig into that. And I know over the past week we've talked a lot about how complicated that is in terms of establishing, baselines that are close to representing reality, which is what we want to do, of course, and be accurate, but still be able to work with a functional model of carbon project development and implementation and long-term impact, which results in meeting the opportunity costs and the economics of protecting large landscapes, which is what, of course, both of our organisations over the last 10 years have been working towards in Tanzania.
Yeah. I think in that context, it might be worth spending a moment reflecting on all that we've accomplished in the last 10 years, right? To get to this point.
Yeah.
Because there's been such an evolution in the market. And, when we were starting out, this was even before my time, with the new projects and using this, at the time, new methodology, it was kind of revolutionary then.
Yeah.
And so to get from there to here is kind of an amazing accomplishment in and of itself.
Yes. I mean, and revolutionary in the sense that, of course, it's the result of 30 years of forestry science,
right.
Windrock, of course, and David Shock.
This culmination,
This culmination of abilities and capability and market and finance to be able to come together and develop this VM7 methodology, which has, I think, served us very well over the last 10 years, and provided the finance for us to achieve some amazing results here.
Yeah, we've completed, 5 verifications now?
5 verifications
for
now,
Makame and Takata.
Yeah,
and,
going into 6.
Right, and real money flowing to these communities and, all of these great things. So it's important to remember before we get into the gritty details of VM0048 that, there is a lot that has been done here.
Yeah.
And so, but we face a challenging moment in the market. I think we've been facing it for several years now, where there's this desire for more scientific rigor and integrity, which is really not to say that anything that's been accomplished so far is not scientifically sound, but we want to continue to improve and make these models better and more accurate. And so it's this pursuit of scientific accomplishment, I think.
Well, at the same time as you're running a market-based project that needs to continue going to be able to meet the of course the needs of our partners, the communities we work with, the government in its own reflection on what these carbon markets are and can do, and 6.2 comes into the mix and all of the requirements to meet that. But let's I just want to take a step back and think about something. If we think about where we are, and of course we're working and thinking about VM48 a lot, and how that activity data works for Tanzania, and how that activity data is being applied, meeting the VMD 55 sort of accuracies, frameworks, and so that we can apply the risk tool to that, and it be a good, I hate to use the word correct or better, but a representation of the real risk to these forests. And I think we have this really interesting position right now where it's not necessarily what is the best science to apply here, as much as it is what is the best philosophical approach to apply here to give confidence to the market. So let's just think about the sort of that position a little bit, because I think, you know, anybody who knows anything about carbon projects is going to understand that as VM48 data is coming out and we're starting to look at how this is going to work in different landscapes, we are going to either have a situation where only certain projects at certain scales are going to be able to meet the political and economic opportunity cost of conserving these forests because of low credit numbers, or the market has to accept we need to be talking about $20, $25, $30 a tonne to achieve, I think, what we've been achieving over the last 10 years. And I think that's a really interesting and salient point to dwell on right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe for some context here, if anyone isn't familiar with this, it's like the criticism of the market is largely based around concern of overcrediting, right?
Yeah.
That's the risk that we're trying to mitigate. And so, you know, carbon credits are being sold with an expectation of a certain volume, right? But if we're going to try to rein that in, then, you know, the cost of development and the value of the forest conservation has to stay in line with that. And also, you know, the added rigor is an added cost in development of these projects as well. So I think all of those factors have to be recognized when you're pulling this together. And yeah, it's a really interesting nexus of, you know, academic, scientific research and development meeting a market in real time. There's a lot of friction there.
I think there's a lot of friction there.
So yeah, how do you meet market expectations?
How do you communicate?
How do you communicate? That is
how do you communicate?
The most important piece, I think. Because it's about understanding what we're trying to do and how difficult that is. I think that gets lost a lot of times.
Yes, I think it does.
And you know, what is realistic in the time that we have to deliver these outcomes?
I find myself in many conversations where, I mean, I think Carbon Tanzania and Level have done a really good job of communicating complexity, but at the same time there is a barrier to how complex you can be before people just sort of switch off and go, okay, that's enough.
Right.
And I think that is a really interesting point that we're trying to get to right now. And I think let's just dwell for a moment on Tongwe Masuto, which is where we've been really focused over the last.
This is the project that TerraCarbon is supporting.
This is the project in Western Tanzania. You know, 600,000 hectares of Miombo forest. It is the biggest protected area now for eastern robust chimpanzee, probably in the world. There might be one in the DRC with questionable protected area status. 140 million tons of carbon locked up in this Miombo woodland. That's measured, that's accurate, that's good forestry science.
And to mention, this is also directly adjacent to the existing Takata project, which has been quite successful.
Which has been quite successful and has led and has built the political willingness amongst that entire landscape to scale up and make this.
Because the communities have seen the real results.
Yeah, they've
of
seen
this,
the real results. And, and that's the positive leakage right there, that you've got, that we need these catalyst projects like this in landscapes so people can learn by doing, see by doing. The political economy can say, actually, this is a better decision for us at a community, and we often talk about community village level. That's IPLC language that people love to use. I'm really not keen on that, but fine, they're just people. And you know, they have their own lives and their own experiences and their own challenges dealing with the economics around protecting their forest. But then you've got this sort of leap into this local government political order, both elected officials and administrative officials, and amplified to the national level, that creates this expectation of carbon. And I think as part of this transition in carbon projects, we're seeing this expectation effect now start to go, great, so there's all this carbon, where's the money?
Yeah. We went in 10 years from what is carbon to where's the carbon?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, from what is this carbon and quite a lot of suspicion to this is amazing, we want more, build more, grow more, let's have it. And you know, our biggest delay right now is the complexity of creating these risk maps. And of course, we're sort of coming to the end of preliminary risk map for Rovuma is starting to be developed, and that should come out in, I think Verra has announced like Q2, Q3 delivery date on that, and this regional is where it's sort of emerging as a possibility. So yeah, let's just dwell on that. The fact that we are managing expectations and speaking to finance and educating a market at the same time as running this live experiment that is the next generation of Verra credits.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, you know, we started with Takata and we set off in motion this project and this source of financing. And we, at the beginning of that project, you know, there was nothing going, right?
Yeah.
Like it was all kind of ahead, but now we have to keep it running while we're transitioning.
Yeah.
And so that's the key challenge.
Yeah, that is the key challenge, to keep that process moving and economic, as well as making sure we are true to being able to measure avoided deforestation.
Right.
And of course there is this, you know, massive focus on removals right now in the market, because I think humans just inevitably love the new and shiny. And you know, we're sitting in our office grounds here in Arusha next to an acacia tortillus tree that's probably my age, 55 years old. And we look at those complex Miombo woodlands, and as someone who's spent their life working in ecology, of course, I find these conversations around how important it is for us to see. I'm not saying don't try and recover, regenerate, reforest, but we need both.
Yeah.
And these big blocks of forest, the ones that we're focused on in Tanzania, Rovuma, Tongwe, Takata, Makame, Yaidariasi, these are irreplaceable forests in every sense of the word.
From a climate perspective, the analogy is always you have to turn the faucet off before you stop the flood, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's been great obviously having you here. As always, the TerraCarbon in the Carbon Tanzania office is an amazing experience for everybody.
It's always
Training,
great to be out here,
thinking, chewing this stuff over. And let's hopefully we're sitting here in 10 years' time having the same conversation about the next generation of projects.
How successful VM48 was.
How successful VM48 was.
And there's still forest out there, there's still chimps out there.
Great.
Communities are still thriving.
That's what we're going for.
That's what we want,
Yeah, a bright future. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Ben.
Yeah, of course.
Cheers.
It's a pleasure being here.
So there it is, a little bit of carbon over a cup of coffee, going into some of the detail, some of the challenges, some of the thinking, but also, really reflecting on the optimism that's required to bring the science of carbon measurement and standards into the real world to enable us to build on what we've done over the last 15 years and going forward for the next 10 years to keep these forests in the ground and make them economically the right decision for the Tanzanian government at national and local level, and of course for the communities that live adjacent to these forests.